that explosions are now being reported in the UAE and Oman. And these explosions, once again in the UAE, they are also being reported in the Oman. And this is also as, there is a lot of messages coming from the UAE that things are safe. But once again, we're seeing these pictures and these reports coming of explosions in the UAE and Oman. And this is also coming at a time when the Gulf states have chosen not to retaliate to Iran, that is attacking all the UK and the US military bases. I think, Ariella, there was also a further escalation when we saw the US embassies being attacked. But it is also, one thing to say that Khamenei needs to go. But we also understand Iran has a rigidity and a theocracy, a theocratic ideology that's going to continue to remain. They knew what's going to happen. They have another set of commands already in place. They've said no for any further talks with the USA. How far do you think and how soon do you think, what do you think is the future? Do you think this conflict in West Asia can get sorted out in the next 2 to 6 weeks?
No, it won't be sorted from my point of view, really, in 6 weeks.
Yes.
It's an ideology, and you can never kill an ideology. That's why I think it's the importance of the people of Iran to change their regime. We, of course, are assisting. From my point of view, what Tehran is actually doing, by attacking the neighbors in the Gulf wars, they thought they're trying to do pressure on the Gulf wars, but and actually during the controversy that countries that were divided before, that were not in favor of Israel, or did not announce in a very clear manner that they would like ties with the state of Israel. Yes. Well, now you suddenly find them that they understand that there is a very, very possibility that future, near ties like with Saudi Arabia and Israel might actually be the outcome of the pressure Iran on the Gulf, and so hopefully Iran will be eliminated, not the people, of course, but their terrorist regime, and it won't 6 weeks, and it will take time, but maybe at least there will be a future for the people of Iran.
Ariella, we're just hoping that there has not been a miscalculation. We remember the Russia-Ukraine war. Everybody was saying that this is going to get over in 2 days, a week, or maybe a month. We would also like to welcome Major General Bishambar Dayal, who is a defense analyst, joining us to speak on this issue. Sir, your initial comment on what's unfolding in West Asia. Do you really trust Donald Trump when he says this is going to get over in 4 to 5 weeks? We already have an example of the Russia-Ukraine war in place. Your initial comment on this?
See, Russia-Ukraine war is certainly a different, altogether different part of the world and different game altogether. Of course, there may be certain, I think, aberrations in what the Americans had initially planned, right? There may be, it's war, and I'm sure America and Israel must have catered for that. But what is more relevant today is that the world is probably more surprised by the way Iranians have come out with it. Nobody thought that after Ayatollah Khamenei, there'll be no gap, there'll be no vacuum, there'll be no confusion, there'll be no fear. The country came out strongly despite having lost the top 44 leaders of their country, military, not political, I would say, all religious military leadership, they lost. Yet they came out so strongly. So what is their strategy? Their strategy from the very beginning looks like enlarge the war, bring the neighbors into the war, force war upon the other Gulf states, or so-called the states which have been having bases for America, target America's softer portions, and even in these states, target the areas which are less likely to be defended by strong air defense systems, and somewhere also to play the game from the depth. That means do not expose your all potential, all capability in one go. So they have, over the last 6-8 months after the last June conflict, probably more than America and Israel, Iran has taken stock of the situations differently. They've changed their strategy, they've changed their tactics, and they will stretch the war quite a long. Now, how long, nobody can say, But ultimately, if you look at it, the supply chains of America are too long. The supply chain for Israel also, some of the supply chains in terms of their aircrafts and their spares also is America. Israel is not producer of any aircraft, whether F-35, F-18, F-15. So supply chain will also become a problem after 4 to 5 hours. So I'm not scaring the world. What is there with people like President Trump? They do not hesitate in using the highest muscle that they have. Or until the world intervenes, countries intervenes, India, Russia and China comes out strongly and involve the Europeans to say no, no war, peace, peace, peace. And then they force peace through negotiation. Unless that happens, the war is going to be long. And the only other way is that tactical nuke missiles, tactical nuclear option, which America may exercise if they think they are losing badly in terms of their manpower, in terms of their equipment. And Iran is not going to give. Iran is, Ayatollah is not only an ideology, he is not only a legacy, Ayatollah is also a system. When you develop a system to defend what you are talking, he has built a system, the Ayatollah have built a system over 45 years. The system is very strong. The system is very coherent. Their own product, they've given 40 to 50,000 drones to Russia over the last 2-3 years. So imagine what is their capability of producing indigenously producing drones and also indigenously producing their missiles. So there is a power which America and Israel never thought.
Okay, fair enough. And I also want to, as I'm going to stay with Major General Bishambar Dayal and Raila Rosenthal, go across to more details that are coming. We're also getting a picture that we're going to go through. If we can just break those. Yes, we're getting that Fujairah port has also stopped all its activities after a nearby strike. We are getting those pictures of that. There's been an explosion at that port. And we can see as Iran has hit the Fujairah oil field in the UAE. We're also getting another visual, and Iran has published the footage of the launch of released the footage of the launch of the Ghadar and the Imad ballistic missiles being fired at Israel from central Iran. Now, let's also explain to our viewers that even though Iran is publishing the footage of this launch of these ballistic missiles, we are not sure whether it's actually reaching the spots in Israel. Let's first also hear the natural sounds that are being released by those Iran authorities on this footage. Also now go back to our guests as we are seeing these images. It's very, very clear what's been happening, and I'm going to go across to another breaking news in just a minute, but I'm going to go back to my guests. Raila Rosenthal, you know, these are images that are being released by Iran. Iran is hitting the Fujairah oil field in the UAE. It's also releasing pictures and images of how it's being hitting Israel. It's very clear they are not stopping, they're escalating and they're attacking Israel. Like I asked you earlier, the big question here really remains, who's going to really sit for talks right now? You know, you were absolutely right when you said we don't see anything happening in the next 6 weeks. But what is it that Israel, US thought when they were attacking this regime in Iran? Do we see a regime change? Because as we're seeing this theocratic rigidity that's there, they already have the next steps along. Do we see any change? Because, you know, unlike what we saw in Venezuela, Iran already has their next steps. We don't see any puppet US person who can take over. They have their next in command already ready, Ariella.
Well, as your colleague here conveyed, Iran has a very well, besides the ideology, has a very strong system. And I'm sure that Israel knows exactly who the processors are. So they may also be eliminated in the near future. But if I look what's going on now with the Hezbollah, the proxy of Iran, we yesterday eliminated, due to the ongoing ballistic attack and the attack of the Hezbollah. So the State of Israel, the IDF, is countering and bombarding the Hezbollah. So, I don't, as a citizen, when I read and try to understand what's going on, I think we must wait. I'm sure and confident that the U.S. and Israel know exactly what they're going to do. I do think that this is already not a war only between Israel and the U.S. and Israel against Iran, but it's already becoming a regional and a global war, of course an economic war also, because of the Strait of the Hormuz, and there are going to be lots of implications in the new future, and I'm sure that China and Russia and the international community will also have its say, as it does right now. But people must understand that this war that is conveyed from our part, from Israel's view, is a survival war. For more than 30 years, Iran has contributed, nurtured the proxies, the terrorist attacks, the 7th of October. And so we hope that by eliminating this regime, I'm sure that even if there will be more religious, there will be another religious regime. It will not be
as you're saying that, we're also getting some news that I'm going to break in a short while, because it's exactly with what you're saying, that there's been a big escalation from Israel where they've hit the Iran's presidential palace. But before that, I'm going to show you the strike near the Fujairah port in UAE that has been hit, and I'm going to go to those pictures where the Fujairah port has also been hit with this. It stopped all its activities after a nearby strike. We're looking at those pictures where the storage operations at Fujairah, that include all those places nearby in Vopak, VTTI, have been suspended operations. They restricted staff access. But now the attack is among the latest in a series of Iranian drone and missile strikes across the Mideast Gulf that launched in the retaliation after, of course, we all know the joint US-Israeli attacks that killed Khamenei. Now, Fujairah was not directly hit in the earlier drone incidents in the recent days, but now these pictures coming in clearly show that it has stopped all its activities after a strike took place nearby. There has been a suspension. Remember, Fujairah was not directly hit, but now the port is a key supplier of bunker fuel for ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz and is the world's third largest crude and product storage hub. I also want to, as we're going to go across to more breaking news coming in, also ask my other guest about what impact this will have on India. Major General Bishambar Dayal, this is the big question here. How is India going to be impacted, and what are the steps that lie ahead? Also, when it comes to Pakistan, we are getting mixed signals when it comes to Pakistan, not only in how they want to have talks with us, but also whether their airspace had been used for these strikes, and also how they condemned this attack for Iran. So what is the impact here for India?
Thank you. See, we must look at it. What is the strategy? And out of that, the impacts come out. The strategy of Iran is very clear. Spread the war to Gulf countries. Close Strait of Hormuz. Choke movement of oil and gas. And dilute production of oil and gas in this area. It will impact the world economy. And it will impact Southeast Asia more. And it will impact India, because India is the largest economy, growing economy, largest population with largest interest in this area. It's not a question of 1 crore people sending remuneration of 10 to 12 billion every month. It's not a question of only oil coming from there. It's also a question that large number of your companies are operating from Gulf area. It's also a question of your entire shipping routes are through this area. It's also a question of that your all air routes are through this area. You are connected to the West through this strategic area. So it is going to affect India very, very severely. Now, India can do very little in this. People are just talking. The time when India or China or Russia or the world could have stopped is when they gave you 6 weeks. 6 weeks these countries were negotiating, and somebody should have told them negotiation is the only way, no war, no war. Nobody told them, nobody tells anything to Trump. So Trump takes it that quietness means different to different people. So he takes it differently. What can India do? I'm of the opinion it's time for India to realize that you have a very strong strategic partner. He stood with you for 70 years without winching his eyes. He stood with you through Kargil, through 71 war, through everything. He openly, when Galwan happened, mind you, neither America nor Israel condemned the Chinese. The only people who stood by you were the Russians. Even during that time, they said, this is barbaric, right? Okay. So why not to open the eastern way? Why not to start your supplies? I mean, first let's solve the gas and our issues of oil. We start the corridor from Vladivostok. Why east it comes there? You open it, you expedite it, you go in for that. So India will have to do something out of the box. Presently, Indian economy for next 4 to 6 weeks may not get that severely affected. But when this war is, even after 4 to 6 weeks, it will have severe war. Even these 4 to 6 will have conducive effect, which will not be visible, which will be visible to individuals. Imagine individuals are stuck up in hotels, individuals are stuck up in somebody's houses, individuals had to travel, their children may be stuck up in West, education, this, that. There are a lot of things. The world is disturbed. It is actually, this war has been forced onto the world. It may not be a world war, but the world has been dragged into this war, the impacts of this war. The impacts of this war, the economic impact of this war will be severed in times to come. I'm of the opinion that someone needs to gather courage and guts and to get this war stopped. Mere words, diplomatic words, soft words, and of course both sides will have their reasons. Of course Israel will have its reasons. They want this, they want that. Iran says, I want this. Every country wants. Every local politician, every domestic politician wants to continue to ruling his country for next 50 years. Who wants to give up power? Netanyahu doesn't want to give up power. So does friend Ayatollah Khomeini was not keen to give up his power. And so his friend Trump doesn't want to give his power. People are suffering because of individual ambitions and ambitions of certain countries which are beyond the UN Charter. We violate the UN Charter. We violate the international law. This is what we are going to happen. When world will be governed by domestic interest and interest of individual nation, and we will give up we will give up the principles of governance, principles and laws of humanity, and basic values of humanity. This is what we will see. I mean, it is just the beginning. Venezuela, this is beginning. We saw it in Syria, we saw it in Iraq, we saw it earlier in Yugoslavia. We've seen this. I mean, we take, the world is told a false agenda that, look, our narrative is to change the government, our narrative is to make him stop producing nuclear fuel. Or he's willing to stop it. He told you, and the vice president of America was told by the foreign minister of Iran, we are willing to stop it. Yet there's a war. So it is going to have serious implications for India. And India is a strong country. It is one of the 5 power centers post-millennium, beside Russia, China, America, and European Union. India is not a regional power. India is not a local power. India is a global power. Absolutely. India has its own footprint.
And you know, as we're staying with that, you're absolutely right. I think what you started off, Major General Bishambar Dayal, by saying that what Iran is trying to do is have an impact on a global level. I also want to introduce the guest who's joining us from Jerusalem in Israel, Noam Eyal. Welcome, Israeli journalist is joining us. And before I come to you, Noam, I'm also going to show